Hi everyone, and welcome to 10 Ways to Improve Your LinkedIn Events. My name's Sue Ellson, and this is part of the LinkedIn Insight webinar series. You can leave your camera turned off, you can leave your microphone turned off, but please engage in the chat. I would love to hear from you. And this is one of many webinars that I've run and is being recorded. So if you need to leave, you can still follow up later on as well. I'm going to be focusing on the 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn events. I'm going to be showing you where to go, what I actually do when I run LinkedIn events with specific tips and relevant examples. For everyone who turns up live, I will be automatically emailing you these free downloads, which are available on my website. And my next live event is this Saturday, 4-hour workshop. 4-hour workshop for maximum of 4 people if you'd like to meet with me in person and work on your LinkedIn profile. I also encourage you to follow me on social media. So every time I run one of these events, I put in my current statistics. So if you go back and look over the old ones, you can see how I've grown, but I definitely encourage you to follow me on social media, in particular my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers there. So if you'd like to look at your own LinkedIn profile whilst this webinar is running, if you click on the More button from your profile page, you will be able to see when you joined. So I joined December 2003. And I'd also love to know whether you're in Australia or overseas. So if you can pop that in the chat, the year you joined LinkedIn and whether you're in Australia or overseas, that would be fantastic. I'd also like to encourage you to think about, as I go through this webinar, 3 things that you can do within 3 hours from now. The reality is, if you don't do anything within 72 hours of this webinar, you might just enjoy the next half hour and nothing happens after that. So for those of you who don't know, my career started in banking at Westpac Banking Corporation in Adelaide, 6 days after my last year 12 exam in December 1982. I stayed there for 11 years before I moved to Melbourne, and basically I haven't had a real job since, but I am a member of Golden Key National Honour Society, Melbourne Press Club, Career Development Association of Australia, Australian Society of Authors, Writers Victoria, Small Press Network and Educate Plus. And newcomersnetwork.com was my first website that I set up in 2001. So LinkedIn I joined 2003. So I've been in the online world for a very long time. So we're getting some answers in the chat here. Lewis is 2009 from the US, thank you. 2011 from Riker in Western Australia, and Sherry's also in Western Australia, thank you, from 2017. So we've got some long-term users of LinkedIn here. We'll probably get some other ones popping through over time. Barry's in Melbourne. Yes, when did you join LinkedIn, Barry? It should be from that More button on your LinkedIn profile. You should be able to find the year in there. That's also a really good tool for checking out people that you visit their LinkedIn profile, and just to make sure they're authentic and genuine. It can be helpful if you look at that information. I've written 5 books. 2 of them are on my favourite topic of LinkedIn. So if you would like to do them, this one is very strategic and this one is practical. Go through step by step. Here's how to update your LinkedIn profile. So pick whichever one suits you via those links. I've also got an online course that goes through the book in detail with videos for each section. Would probably take 10 weeks if you allow 2 hours a week to do it. That's also available on my website. And I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet. This presentation is for everyone. Slides and recording have already been sent, linked, have been sent to you. You can leave your camera off. I'm assuming a varied level of knowledge and experience, and I like to write comprehensive slides so you can follow things through step by step afterwards. Please put questions in the chat at any time. I'll keep an eye on that. You can check out more about me on my website. At the end, when you leave the webinar, I will be inviting you to add in a comment as what's to most helpful and any other suggestions. And this webinar takes about 10 hours of work to do the preparation and the follow-up. So you can say thank you by buying a book, following me on social media, putting an endorsement or recommendation on LinkedIn, or doing a Facebook or Google review. And the reason Facebook reviews are important is I like to appear in Bing search results, and Bing only looks at Facebook reviews, not Google reviews. So here are the 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn events. These slides are already on my website if you want to run through them on your own computer at the same time. So the first thing you're going to do is review your events strategy. Now, when LinkedIn events first came out, boy, you could invite people and hundreds would register, and it was super, super exciting. Obviously, with all new features, they promote them a lot in the beginning, and then they reduce it later. I'm just going to make sure. Yep, I was recording. So I believe if you're going to run an event on LinkedIn, you need to upload it onto LinkedIn at least 4 weeks before your event. And you've got different choices: an audio event, a LinkedIn Live event, or an external event link. So this event was an external event link, and I linked to my website, and it's a Zoom, which I record. Now, a LinkedIn audio is exactly as it says, it's an audio only event. So only people can listen to voices. So you don't have to worry about what you look at like, you just have to worry about what you sound like, but you cannot record them. Now, LinkedIn Live, you can record, but you need a third-party tool, and it takes a lot more setting up and organizing and issues and so on. So as a general rule, I don't recommend it. The other issue I have with running exclusively live events is it goes live and it might broadcast it to other people, but for a lot of people that live format doesn't work. The questions that come through are a little bit more complicated to process whilst you're running the webinar. I just haven't found it as good a seamless service, so that's why I've chosen this option. Now, the other thing is some people try and sell this, $1,000 conference ticket via a LinkedIn event on LinkedIn. Now, the reality is, if people register for a LinkedIn event, they pretty much always assume it's free, and all they had to do to register was say they were going, not click on a link and fill in a form. So this is why you really need to be conscious of that. Lewis is also saying LinkedIn Live is just not very reliable. The LinkedIn audio works pretty well, but still has its hiccup. Yeah, look, I've been on a few audio calls, and I just find I get bored really quickly with them because some people take the mic too long and some people don't really know what they were trying to say. And I don't know, it just doesn't flow as well for me. So I know it's real time and people who love audio, but if you're in business and you're trying to serve the most people most of the time, I think this format is probably better. So if you're going to go down this path of putting your events online, I really do recommend it to be for free events. Now, there is one spot you can put a link, and I link it to my website page, which is where I also have the Zoom link and all the details about the event. Because after the event has run, the date and time has passed, you can no longer edit the event on LinkedIn. So if somebody does click on a link to a Zoom that's already been, it's of no value to you. So that's why I want you to link to your website. You also need to have a privacy policy on your website for Google purposes, but also so that you can download registration details. I like to have a regular schedule. So mine's, the second Wednesday of the month every month, unless there's something else on, then I have to change it, but that's pretty much how I do it. And also be aware that even if I send out 1,000 invitations, some people have already been overwhelmed by too many event invitations and have turned off notifications. So you may have invited them, but they would never receive the invitation. When I started running online events, they were 60 minutes long. Most people cannot imagine spending 60 minutes online anymore. So I've cut them back to 30. And I've also got the question mark over the whole concept of events and thinking, does anybody want to go to a certain place at a certain time to learn something? Or do they just want to use ChatGPT and find it when they want it, or go to YouTube and find it when they want it at whatever hour of the day or night in whichever country they are in? So I run LinkedIn events because it makes me keep myself up to date with LinkedIn know-how and put together content and have something to share on my socials. I do it for a whole bunch of other reasons. But you might want to ask yourself, is LinkedIn events really the right solution for you? Maybe you would be better off just adding more content to your website and your socials. Does your audience fit a certain day, date, and time? So if you have a lot of international clients, it doesn't matter what time you choose, it's not going to be suitable for everyone. And I also believe that you should encourage people to register even if they cannot attend live, because that way you will still get their details and you can send them the recording, which I also recommend. So, number 2 step, publish on your website first. This is a screenshot of this event's page on my website, and it provides a permanent record that I ran this event. You might say, well, next year, who cares? Well, I say, if people go looking for ways to improve your LinkedIn events, this page of my website could come up, so it could be worthwhile. It will increase the size of your digital asset. You can put the Zoom link on here before the event. After the event, you can take it off. You can put in images, you can put the video recording, you can include feedback, you can gain lifetime value, but you can also add your event, not just to LinkedIn, but to Eventbrite. Humanitix here in Australia is a great ticketing platform, Google events, Facebook events, and you can also search engine optimize the event as well. So you can see a list of all of my other webinars by following that link there. Now, once it's time to add it to LinkedIn, from your news feed, either as a person or as a company profile, if you click in the box, you then get this choice and you can choose create an event. So I publish all of my events under my company page, not under Sue Ellson, the person. And the reason I do that is so that when you visit my company page, you can see the 34 events that I have listed there. So that's the benefit to that. Now, if when you add the event online, you link to your privacy policy, you will then be able to download a list of everybody who registered. First name, last name, current job, current company, and their email address. So that's kind of cool. And you can pop in an image, and I put plenty of details on the image so that people can see it just from the image. I select the speakers, hopefully you're already connected with them. And again, I link to the website, the Zoom link, and so on. So this is the event. So I'll just show you what this looks like. So this is today's event. And you can see here the event link is to my website. If I click on here, I can see the 102 people that have registered. And here under details, I've got a lot of information that I basically just copy paste for the next one and just change a few of the details. Obviously, I changed the Zoom link, but I remind people to follow me on social media. I realize these are not clickable links, but obviously people can copy and paste them. And then there's the special gift and the pre-reading, and then again, a reminder of the event details. So I've got the event link there. I've got the event link for Zoom up here, but I have the website address in here. Now, please be warned, if I go in and edit this event, sometimes that event link will disappear. So that's another reason why on my next event, which is in January, if you look in my details section, I've put the link in here as well. So it's right up the top of the details section. So even if this link accidentally disappears, people can still see the full details of this event via that link there. So again, please let me know if you've got any questions in the chat, but that process of adding it to LinkedIn needs to tie in with your overall LinkedIn strategy. So the next thing is share it as a post. So when you add it to LinkedIn, it's going to give you the chance to write up a little post. Now, I'm a little bit slack. I don't then do another post, 2 weeks before and so on, which I probably could do because it's sort of developed a bit of a momentum of its own. But definitely remember, you can share it through all your other social channels. And if you want to do the new feature, which is called Boost Your Event, LinkedIn has this special offer to promote your event more widely. Now, I'm just warning you that the minimum spend here in Australia is $130 to boost your event. And the big question you've got to ask yourself here is it worthwhile for me to spend that money and get more people to my event? And depending on who I'm targeting, are those people looking at LinkedIn regularly so they would even see that promotion before the event date, which is another reminder of why you want to do it 4 weeks before. Now, ironically, when I promote my events 4 weeks before, I get hardly any registrations. And when I promote it 2 days before, I get a lot more registrations. So, it's all kind of bizarre as to how this stuff works. So you've kind of got to do a little bit of both. Now, Also, what I've had to do is on that post that promotes the event, I've had to turn off comments, because what spammers do is they look for LinkedIn events, and at the day and time of the event, they come in and put in a comment telling people to go here to log on. And of course, it's to some spammy thing. So I've had to turn off comments. But if you want to see that post, you can check that out there. The fifth thing is to invite your connections to attend. So on the event page itself, you've got that share button and you can choose invite. And you can invite 1,000 connections of yours per week to the event. And I'm going to show you this quickly. And this is my next event. Now, I've already invited 1,000 people this week to today's event, so I can't invite loads and loads of people now, but you'll get the idea. And what you can do is you can sort by industry. So this one about LinkedIn strategy would probably be very good for business consulting and services businesses. So let's sort all my connections via that. And as a general rule, I try and focus on people who are in Australia as a general rule. So now I've sorted it. And what I can do is I can just tick the top box and it will automatically invite 50 people. But if I keep scrolling, and then I turn it off and turn it back on, it now invites 80 people. So I don't have to manually sit here and click every single one. Now, I don't know how long this will last, and I hope LinkedIn's not watching this webinar because I don't want them to change it. So sometimes you'll get this message, something went wrong. Don't panic, just press it again and it should work. Now, it could be that I've already invited too many, so I'll just reduce the number I'm inviting and see if I've got enough of my 1,000 people allocation that will work. No. All right. I might have to unselect all. And yeah, you can definitely, as I said, do 1,000 a week. Now I've got a quick question here. Can you embed a slide share of your webinar slides on your website, or do you find it easy to pop on the webinar recording? Looking for easy. Okay. So what I do, Jen, with my presentations, my PowerPoint presentations, is I save them as a PDF. And then I just insert the file in WordPress as a PDF, and it becomes something you could either download or that you can scroll through on its own. So yeah, I put the details of the event and the recording, everything all on the one page. I don't do a separate page for before the event and another one for after the event. It's all just the same page that I update. So thank you for that question. All right, so that's inviting people. Remember, again, some people have turned off event notifications, so be aware of that. Still promote it on your other channels, and consider copying the event link and sending direct messages to people. So even if they've turned off the notifications, you can still send them the link to the event. Now, the benefit of people registering online for your event is you can see here that Kelly has registered for today's event. Now, what's going to happen on Kelly's LinkedIn profile is it's going to say Kelly is attending 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn events. So that will then be, if Kelly registered a month ago, she's going to be promoting my event for a month on her LinkedIn profile. So this is another great way to sort of share the news and a benefit of having LinkedIn events, because it showcases that other people are attending on their LinkedIn profile. Now, if you do have to change the date or time, it will let people know that you've changed it, and it's sort of as a broadcast message. So some people use that to sort of remind everybody, but I prefer to contact people directly. So you can also go through, once you've clicked on that link of all the people who've registered, you'll get this screen. And you can sort by connections. So I don't need to invite the people who are already a connection of mine to connect. So I can sort them by second and third connections. And then I can say, all right, Bridget's in Australia, I'll invite her to connect. This one, maybe not, maybe not for the rest of them. So you can decide of the people who've registered for your event, which ones you would then like to connect with as well. I know LinkedIn knows that we are attending an event we chose to say we're going to, but where does it show it to my connections and how long? I can't tell you exactly how long it displays, But usually if I look, well, let's look at, Jen, are you happy for me to put your profile on the screen? Yep. Okay. So if we just go to Jen's profile, because she was attending today. So it usually says it up the top here. Now, they may have turned it off again, who knows? But it usually says Jen is going to this event, and it shows it up here, roughly speaking, Lewis. Where to show my connections and how long. And of course, once the event is run, then it will obviously be removed. So yeah, it's normally in around this spot. Again, every time I log on to LinkedIn, something's slightly different. So up until now, that's what has been happening. All right, this is the reason it's good to do these every month, because things change, and good to give you an update. Now, the next thing I do, number 7, is send a calendar invitation. So although when you register an event, it might register in your event calendar, it doesn't always. So I use Microsoft Outlook, and I use a Microsoft Outlook plugin called Send Personally. And what by MappyLab is the company. And what this means is that when I copy paste email addresses in here from my list of registrations, I can do a blind carbon copy to everyone for the event. So because you can see there's no BCC here. So if I was doing this manually, those 101 people who've registered, I'd have to manually send them a calendar invitation so that nobody saw who else was coming, right? That would be a pain in the neck. So with this Send Personally, I can paste everybody's address in there, and then it sends each individual person a link to the calendar invitation. Now, on the calendar invitation, I put the Zoom link in the location spot and at the beginning, and then I also provide a little bit of extra information in there as well. When I send that, before I send it, I turn off that people do not need to confirm, because it's not like a business meeting that we want to find out whether XYZ people are coming. So I turn off requesting a response, and you can also, if you've registered, got the event listed on Eventbrite or Google or wherever, you want to make sure that those people get the calendar invitation as well, not just the people who've registered via LinkedIn. So definitely send people a calendar invitation, because how many people register for an event and don't put it in their calendar? Like, it's a lot of people. So you really do want to send that. And then on the day of the event, I send an email again with the link to log in at the day and time of the event. So when I first started running these events in October 2021, I had about a 70 or 80% of people would actually turn up. Now, I can have 100 people register and have 10 people online. So it's a very different experience. But because I do the recording, I get that lifetime value out of it. Jen's just saying the new Google Workspace upgrade also has send, mail, merge, individual for calendar invites, Jen, or only for emails? Not sure. Yeah, see, that's the difference. For emails, yes, we can send it individually, but calendar invites are different. So that's why I had to source that extra Outlook plugin. So I sent out this email reminder a bit more than an hour before, because I had a client before the meeting, but you can definitely do that. And please do not be too disappointed if people register but do not attend live. This is just the way it is in 2023. And a lot of people do it so that they can get the recording, because it is of interest. Number 9, add the recording to YouTube and your website. Now, you can unlist the video if you want, if there's secret information that you don't want anybody who hasn't registered for the event seeing, but I like to share it publicly. You can see here I haven't had a huge number of views for these videos, which again makes me think, is LinkedIn events the best strategy, when if I just put up a short 60-second video on YouTube, I'll probably get a lot more views. So again, this is why I want you to think about your overall strategy. But I've turned on subtitles. When I start the video, I mention my name, so I make sure my name is spelt correctly in the subtitles. I turn on hold all comments for review on YouTube, so that if somebody spams the recording on YouTube, you know, if they spam me, I can't delete the comments. But if I have to approve it, then they can't spam me. I choose not suitable for children so that the video can be shared or embedded. And I use the same thumbnail that I've used for the event. So all the images I use on my website, the YouTube channel, LinkedIn are all 1280 by 720 pixels because that's the size of a YouTube thumbnail, and I can reuse it in all the other platforms. I've also created a playlist for all of these webinars. So if you want to click on that link, that will take you to all of the previous webinars on YouTube. But if you see them on my website, you will actually get the slides and everything as well. So that's up to you. And don't forget to embed the YouTube video on your events page on your website afterwards as well. So you want to put it on YouTube, but you also want to put it back on your website as well. Now, the final thing is, well, you've gone to all that trouble to get people to your event, you might want to follow up with them. So obviously connect with them. That's the number one thing, which I always do. You could invite them to follow your company page if you've run it from the company page. You cannot automatically invite them to your email newsletter list unless they've given you permission to do so. So as a general rule, I don't do that. I try and impress people enough with the webinar. If they want to, they can join the mailing list on their own. I don't know about you, but I've unsubscribed from practically every email newsletter that exists because, you know, it's just too much information nowadays. And I just go looking for what I want when I want it, which I presume a lot of other people are doing, which is, again, why do you want to run LinkedIn events? I've also got on Zoom here the opportunity for you to add some comments. So I always appreciate feedback. So you can do that. You could consider inviting them to subscribe to your LinkedIn newsletter for either your company page or your personal one if you've turned on creator mode. And maybe this is an idea I got last night when I was preparing these slides. Maybe a week later, you could send everybody an email to say, by the way, the event was last week, the recording's online, here's the link. So that might get a few more views of your video. And don't forget, if you're running events every 4 weeks, then you've got to be prepared for the next event and start those 1,000 invites per week. So they're the 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn events. Let me know what you think is the best one or the 3 things you are going to do now. You might decide, I'm not running events, it's just too hard. As I said, it's about 10 hours work to put an event together. I might ask, you know, how many short or long form videos could I produce in the same time frame? Or would I produce them if I wasn't running an event, which is another reminder. Sometimes if you're running an event, it forces you to produce that content on a monthly basis. So let me know, what were your 3 favorites? And if you can do something within the next 3 hours, woohoo. These are the links or the details of all of the other ones. I'm going to get the font pretty small by the end of next year if I keep putting them on this one screen. So that could be interesting. Don't forget, you've got the course that you can go through. Anybody who turns up live, I will send you these files so that you can use them. The live workshop is on Saturday. Feel free to follow me on social media, check out my books. And here's some additional resources that you might be interested in. I've got another question there from Riker, which I'll come to shortly. The slides, as I said, are already on my website. So you have to go to sueellson.com/blog. It's the first link there now. And please, if you found this of value, you can say thank you online via Google, Facebook, which is used for Bing reviews. So if you're using Bing as your search engine, only Facebook reviews come up, not Google reviews. So I really appreciate Facebook reviews, or there's one on my website so you can scan those codes. So Riker, what's your question? For those people who click attend, let me just get this window a little bit bigger. Who click attend your linked event, but don't click the external link to register. Is there a way to extract the email addresses to send them the calendar invite? Yes, you've got to provide the privacy policy link, but I'll show you. I've used an external app, Apollo, but 9 of the 90 people didn't have email addresses on their profiles to extract. I do not believe in using any third-party tools to collect information from LinkedIn. It is actually against the LinkedIn user agreement. So I do not recommend that at all. So let me show you how to do this. So here's my company page. And I click in the start a post box, I choose create an event. Now, what you have to do is you click use a LinkedIn registration form and you copy paste your privacy policy in there, right? So that means you will collect people's data when they register for the event. Now, if I show you my event for today, or my next one, this will be a good one to show because there's nobody registered. So there's only one attendee. So what I can do is from this manage one, I can choose download registration information and choose save as, and I'll put it in my webinars for next month. Here's my list. So we'll save it and then I'll open the file and you can see here created, email address, first name, last name, company, country, job title, and so on. So that lists all the details there and the email address will be in that list. So that's the way to extract the emails. You have to put that privacy policy link when you create the event. You cannot do it after you've created the event. So please just remember that. Now, Lewis said, I'm not running an event now, but wanted your insight as you are an expert. Can you go back to your top 10 slides so I can say what was most helpful? Absolutely. Let me go back to that one for you. Hopefully you'll say LinkedIn strategy because you really need to know your strategy before you go into this. So that's important. One of the learnings was publishing events through your company page. Yeah, Jen, I really love that because when people visit the company page, they can click on events and they can see a list of all the events I've done previously. They can also click on those events and network with the people who registered. So it can be a really good strategy for finding leads from people who've registered for events. So that could be helpful too. And Runler wants to remember not all people get the event notification. Yeah, sad but true. And considering international viewers for the recordings, fantastic. Yeah, so I do a lot of things because there's only me running the show here. There's nobody else that I outsource to. And believe you me, I've tried it a few times, but by the time I explain it and they do it and I check it, it takes longer than if I just did the damn thing in the first place. And every single time I set up procedures, the following time someone goes to do it, something's changed and they don't know how to do it. And then they come back to me and I waste my time again. So I streamline things by rinse and reusing the same types of content on a regular basis. So there you go. Lewis, what was your top 10 out of this now that you've seen the list? And feel free to unmute if you'd prefer to do that rather than just type in the chat.
Typing, hang on one second.
Yeah, ready to go ahead if you unmute. Oh, number 1, because you need to know what you want for your event and how you want your event. Number 5, and how you invite your connections. And number 8, sending your event reminder. Yeah. And I note to self, send somebody something a week later after the event to remind them to watch the recording. That's the thing I learned out of running this. Sending the calendar invite. Thank you, Rika. And the privacy policy. Yes. Well, I hope you can collect a lot more people's details because if you forget to put that privacy policy link, you're almost better off deleting the event and starting again if you want the details and re-inviting people. So good on you for that one. So that's the half hour. Are there any other final questions you would like to ask or comments or any other LinkedIn questions you have that you would like to ask? I'll turn off the screen share. Thank you for being so engaged in the chat. That's fantastic. All good. All right. Well, I'll wrap up the meeting, and what I can do is obviously put the recording online. Feel free to share it with anyone you like. If you've got a moment to write a review online, that would be very much appreciated. Although I know Jen has previously, so no need for you to do another one there, Jen. But thank you for joining us. And whether you're watching live or the recording, and I look forward to seeing you online. Thanks and bye for now.